The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dog or Pass podcast. This for UFC 246, and I can't believe I'm saying it. It's Conor McGregor fight week. Cody Saftic here in studio with me. I mean, there's over the last year and a half, and Conor hasn't won a fight in 3 years. There's been so many different things that have happened with him. People don't come to us for, like, whether he did or didn't do certain things. Like, that's for a different discussion altogether.
In the court of law.
In the court of law and so on and so forth. But there is a certain level of buzz and excitement and all of that. And I didn't, honestly, once he got that Floyd money, once he got the Floyd FU money, I didn't know if we would ever say that again. Like, he has, if not for the legal lawsuits and all of the other shit that's been going on in his life, I don't know if he really needs to come back and cash another check. But here we are. He's taking on Donald Cowboy Cerrone. And I'm sure you're as excited as I am.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I'm excited. You're excited. But when you talk about that Conor McGregor fight week buzz, like, do you feel the same buzz? It's always been tremendous hype every time Conor McGregor fights. It doesn't matter who he fights. Adamant object. It's a big fight. People are just interested in what he's doing. But it almost feels like it's kind of become tiresome. Like, you remember it was like when the Irish touched down and it was this huge, like, contingent of Irish fans that would come over from Ireland to support him. I don't know that it's that same support. I'm excited to see him back, but he's got a lot of proving to do. And that's what makes this fight even more interesting. This is UFC, not necessarily a numbered pay-per-view. It's UFC, where's your head at? Because we'll talk about the whole card, but like a lot of these fights got a ton of question marks. And he himself has a bunch of them. We won't jump into it right away, but I feel myself excited because it's UFC back. It's the new year. We're back rolling, talking fights. I'm excited for that. But yeah, you've got the prized possession of, we want the sport to grow. We want more viewership. We want people to become fans. And how are they going to do that? They need stars. And who's their star? This guy. So he needs a good performance, and we're looking forward. Before
we get to that, it feels like it was forever ago, but there was a UFC winner for the last card UFC of the year.
Busan, Korea.
Yes, and it was MB Gend, MBGEND. Congratulations. I'm about 100% sure that you have $20 DK in your account. If you want to win $20 DK this week, Cody will tell you how to get involved in the draw.
Okay, so Conor obviously comes out, talks a lot of shit. That's normally how he does it. This time he's cool, he's calm, he's relaxed. He knows something that perhaps we don't. He seems super confident in a good place. What does he know that we don't? Conor did something to prepare for Cowboy Cerrone. Whether he brought in an actual cowboy, whether he did a bunch of cocaine, whether he did some type of miraculous thing in camp, brought in a live bull, whatever. Give me your theory on why is Conor so calm here? What does he know that we don't? For how he prepared for Donald Cerrone. And you could win the $20 DK.
I hear that he had like Tony Robbins come in for motivational speaking and stuff like that and help him out with that. So
maybe he was playing touch butt in the park again. He's got to get back to his roots.
Anyway, let's get into it. We got Conor McGregor, obviously, making his return. He's a minus 330 favorite. Donald Cerrone is a plus 270. Who do you got here?
Yeah, the question is, and should only really be, is Conor's power going to translate to 170? The opportunities to knock out Donald Cerrone are going to present themselves, but he needs to do it within 2 rounds. Conor, for as good as he is, and he's a great fighter, he really is, but we've seen the blueprint here, is that A, his cardio always falters, so you got to get him to deeper rounds. Yeah, the ground game, sure, but we know he's been working on it. But if he doesn't knock you out early and you can extend him, then that's when you're going to find your opportunities. Cerrone himself will have opportunities to win this fight, but he is notoriously a slow starter. He doesn't deal well against southpaws. He's kind of slow for the division. He doesn't move his head all that well, and he's not known to take the greatest punch. These are all things going to play against him.
Especially to the body.
Yeah, but we talk about how great of a power puncher and how precise and how accurate and all these different things about Conor McGregor. It's very important to note right off the bat, what are his 3 biggest knockouts? 3 biggest knockouts of his career, probably he takes out Dustin Poirier, he takes out
Jose Aldo.
He takes out Jose Aldo, and he takes out
Alvarez.
You could say Eddie Alvarez, or you could say.
But you're trying to draw the. You're trying to say. You're trying to draw the featherweight correlation.
Yeah,
he was the best featherweight of all time.
And beyond featherweight correlation, right? He knocks out Dustin Poirier. But dude, Dustin Poirier, 145 pounds. You seen the size of this guy? He had bad weight cuts, and that hurt him at 45, especially with his punch resistance. Jose Aldo, we're surprised he made 35 a month ago, but prior to that, man, this guy had bad weight cuts at 145 pounds. Maybe his punch resistance was compromised from that. You don't know. Eddie Alvarez, again, that one was a great counter performance. But again, you look at his past victims, and in a lot of the cases, Chad Mendes, it's not that he had trouble making 145 pounds, but he took the fight on a week's notice, right? Mm-hmm. So again, he was compromised in the second round of that fight. So he's had a lot of good things going for him. That's why the power looks there. But again, Nate Diaz, 170, he's unable to finish him. But Nate Diaz took an inhuman amount of punishment in those fights. Punishment I don't see Donald Cerrone taking. Anyways, what I'm getting at is I got Conor McGregor. I think Conor McGregor is a better fight. The fact that he hasn't won a fight in 3 years, the fact that he's lost his last two, I don't really give a whole bunch of credit to that. He's fought the two greatest generational stars in two different sporting events and gave a good account of them on both times. It's whether or not he can go out there and take out Donald Cerrone within two. Because if not, Donald Cerrone is going to take this fight into later rounds and probably has to get him to the ground and submit him.
Let me ask you a question. These guys fight 4 times. Does Donald Cerrone win any of them?
Yeah. I mean, it's a fight, Paul.
Does he win one of 4?
If they fight twice, it could be a split pairing.
Because implied probability on a plus 270. This is what I'm struggling with right now.
The next thing we got to get.
Is 27%. So like he wins 1 of 4. I think we're getting dangerously close to it. If it's plus 300, I may have to take a step. I think Conor McGregor's gonna win. I think he wins more often than not, but I kind of see it more as like a 65-35, maybe a 70-30. But we're getting into value territory on Cerrone. I want to see how the way, and like I think this line is gonna continue to grow as Conor continues to look good in interviews and all of that.
He's not really doing a whole lot of media.
He's been confident. Every single time one of these videos drops of Conor McGregor speaking into the microphone, the price spikes. The price spikes. You think as we go on throughout this week, we're going to have weigh-ins and stare-downs and all of that, and the public money is going to continue to come in. I'm guessing the public money is going to continue to come in, and the books only want to take so much liability on this. I feel like I may end up with a Donald Cerrone bet, although Conor McGregor is my pick to win.
Well, you're right.
I feel like it's tough to trust a guy after all of these years doing boatloads of cocaine. Let's just put that out on the table. This guy,
big boats.
And hey, he's 31. I'm a 34-year-old guy. I've made some questionable decisions. I've partied and have fun in my life. You know what I don't feel like doing the next morning after that? Waking up and going to the gym. Now, he says that he hasn't drank in like 5 months or so. I'm going to have to believe him on that. He does seem laser focused. He looks like he's in tremendous shape. I don't like the fact that it's 170 pounds because I don't think he's he walks around at that weight. That may help his cardio and all of those other issues that we've talked about before. But yeah, the power, which is like his number one go-to thing that helps him win fights, I don't know if it translates up there. It barely translates at 155. Even the Eddie Alvarez fight, it wasn't because it was like a one-hitter quitter type of shot. It was just precision, perfect striking. Conor can win this fight. A bunch of other. I see a lot of inside the distance props that people are betting. Conor round 1 is around like plus 150 or so. I mean, if you really have a hot take on that and you think he just buzzes right through him, good on you. That's where I would go, but I wouldn't be adding minus 330 Conor McGregor after all of the question marks and things that he have been doing in the last year and a half. A man that has been going down that path, it's hard to lay this type of number. Especially against a credible opponent.
Fair. So here's a very rich, wealthy man, and lawsuits aside, like you mentioned at the top of the show, maybe he's taking this fight because he's got all these legal lawsuits he's got to settle, and we didn't think we'd see him again. Like, I don't think he's fighting for the money. I think he's fighting because here's a guy that's at the top of the world, and everybody loves him. He's the king of the mountain. He accomplishes everything he wants to accomplish, and then, hey, it doesn't get taken away from him, but he makes a lot of poor decisions. He just lives the life of that typical pro athlete that blows it all away, meathead, sucker punches an old man in a bar, all these rape allegations. It's like, Jesus, man, he's going down a really bad path. But I feel like at some point he realizes, like, man, I'm a father. I'm now 31. I'm not 29. I'm not 30. I got all the partying out. I own all these cars. I own all these houses. I own this whiskey company. I own all these things. Where's the real thrill? Geez, remember when I was that kid grinding in that single bedroom apartment in Ireland because I wanted this dream? Like, I'm not saying he got back to that guy. He'll never be that guy again, ever be that guy again. But now he's smart enough to realize these are the spots where we're going to make money, okay? Now, what's he been talking about all the last couple of weeks? It's like, oh, something happens to Khabib or Ferguson, I'm in. Something happens to Khabib Ferguson. The UFC would actually be smartest play here is if he beats Cowboy Cerrone, they do something to Khabib Ferguson. Hey, just throw a wire there and let Tony walk by, blows out his leg, because that's the money fight for them to make. But what I'm saying is, all these things he's talking about, oh, we got offered a Pacquiao boxing match. Oh, maybe I want another fight with Khabib. Oh, I want to fight Tony Ferguson. Oh, this Justin Gaethje super fight. All these different things are all made possible with a victory over Donald Cerrone. They're all taken away from you with a defeat to Donald Cerrone. So he knows exactly what he's getting himself into in taking this Donald Cerrone.
It's a must-win.
That's Exhibit A. Exhibit B. Team McGregor initially comes out and says, we want Frankie Edgar. Odd choice. A lot of people are saying, Frankie Edgar can wrestle, man. Frankie Edgar got great cardio. Frankie Edgar got a great chin, man. You know what I mean? Why would he want to fight Frankie Edgar? And Dana says, no. But in hindsight, and especially when you watch Frankie versus Korean Zombie, it's like, fuck, he had this thing marked out 100%. The guy's too small, can't take the punch anymore. He's not going to be able to take me down because of the size discrepancy. They had marked out the perfect opponent and didn't end up getting it. Donald Cerrone as choice 2, really? If you were sitting at home, people want to see Khabib again. No. People want to see the Tony Ferguson fight. Tony Ferguson kills this man. People want to see Justin Gaethje. Are you kidding? Do you know the things that Justin Gaethje would do to him? I bet you a guy like Alex Hernandez or Francisco Trinaldo could be competitive.
Well, that's bold.
Could be competitive against Conor McGregor, You don't want to see him fight the best guys. You want to see him fight a winnable fight against a big-name opponent. He doesn't want to fight an up-and-coming guy. He doesn't want to fight a guy that doesn't have quite that name cachet that's going to present a tough fight. He wants to fight Donald Cerrone. Cerrone's coming off a couple of bad knockout losses. He's suffered many of bad knockout losses in his career. And him fighting at 170, that should be his benefit. But hearing him say things like, oh, it's fat weight, and when you look at anything from his training camp, like he's training lackadaisically, like he's always done. But he's a 38-year-old man now. Yeah. He hasn't that last little resurgence where he's killing guys.
Conor's going to have a big speed advantage.
Yes. Now all of that laid out. You're right. This is an awful price. It was minus 300 yesterday morning, and it's already 330. The Irish that are coming have landed, and they're betting Conor McGregor. You would have to go inside the distance. I don't know first round because I'm thinking first 2. But if you bet first round finish and you got plus 160 on it, and you bet second round finish and you got plus 135 on it, and one of them hits, you would still make your money. But I would think that's the move. And when you talk about the value, if you're going to play plus 300 on Donald Cerrone, absolutely, that's a play. At the end of the show, we'll talk about DraftKings, $6,800. Like, if Donald Cerrone is walking away from the victor, he's getting himself a finish. He's getting himself some takedowns.
He's scoring more than 68 points.
He's going to thrash him when he gets his spot. 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 5 rounds, domination. But he's got to get it there, and that's where I find it hard to.
And I think Conor did show against Khabib that the takedown defense is good enough to stop a guy like Donald Cerrone from taking him down. Nobody stops a Khabib takedown.
Yeah. So that's the last point. We'll move on to the co-main, because this is the most interesting fight on the card, and then you have a fight night worthy offering after that. So we'll spend a little extra time there. But you're right. The way he looks against Eddie Alvarez, it's like, wow, this guy's now a dual champion, a legitimate dual champion. Smoked out Eddie Alvarez, made him look foolish in there. This guy's legitimate. Then he takes on Floyd Mayweather. He handicaps himself by taking a boxing match. Fights Floyd Mayweather, the greatest boxer ever, especially at the weight class, but ever, my opinion. And he gives a good account of himself. Now he fights Khabib Nurmagomedov, the greatest 155-pound fighter, perhaps the greatest fighter, any weight class, in my personal opinion, to ever do it. He gives a good account of himself. He stuffs the first 3 Khabib takedown attempts. It's deceiving because Khabib's a chain wrestler, so realistically he stuffs the first attempt that was, included 2 double legs and an ankle pick, 2 single legs and an outside trip. But all the same, it's like the guy actually put up a decent scramble early. He makes it out of the first round. He starts landing punches against Khabib. And then Khabib's game is just way too suffocating. So when people say he hasn't won in 3 years and he's losing, oh man, Khabib made him quit. It's like he fought 2 generational talents and gave a good account of himself.
Yep.
If you're big on Cerrone, it's because you hate Conor McGregor. That's what I'm drawing the conclusion of. But the pricing's just way off here. So.
All right, let's move to the co-main event. We've got Holly Holm taking on Raquel Pennington. Holly Holm is minus 140. Raquel Pennington is plus 120. Who you got here?
So similar situation. This could have been had for 120 yesterday, and now it looks like some money's moving on Holly Holm. That makes it less appealing. She is the play. There's nothing to see here, folks. I mean, they've already fought once before. It was a low-scoring output affair. Went to decision. It was a split decision for Holly Holm. I thought she won a unanimous. But all the same, it was a split decision victory for Holly Holm. both girls have gone on a strange trajectory since there. Holly Holm wins the title, ends up losing the title, goes to 145, loses Jermaine Durandamy, fights Cyborg, fights Amanda Nunes again, gets head kicked by Nunes. It's just been all over the place. Raquel Pennington also been all over the place. Former title challenger herself, lost to Amanda Nunes. It's that Holly Holm's got this ability to lose and just, it doesn't deter her. She's so motivated. She just always thinks she's getting back in contention. She's always in phenomenal shape. She always prepares at the highest level. Whereas Raquel Pennington suffered her losses and just does not look the same. I mean, when she lost to Amanda Nunes, understandable, makes it 5 rounds, TKO in the 5th.
Took an absurd amount of damage.
Tried to quit after 4. Again, understandable. I mean, this is a crazy fight, but it's a championship fight, and to hear her say that was tough. And then following that, they do her no favors. She gets Jermaine Durandamy. And she pulls all of her punches. She, other than a little bit of cage control, failed to do anything and physically looked way out of shape. So fair enough. It's Jermaine Durandamy. She's a big fighter. Maybe she thought that she had to put on some additional mass. That's fine. The next fight against Irene Aldana, I believe she loses the first round. Close first round. Maybe that flurry at the end is what caused me to score it for Aldana. Second round, Aldana wins. I mean, she outstrikes her. She lands the better punches. The third round, almost nothing happens. But Raquel Pennington had the takedown. Aldana fished a couple submissions. Raquel Pennington, I don't know, she landed something like 6 significant strikes in that round. Split decision for Raquel Pennington. I scored it for Aldana. She could be on a 3-fight losing streak right now, and we're not even having this conversation that she's competitive against Holly Holm. But she wins a split. That looks better than Holly Holm, who's just been absolutely decimated her last time out. You can see where the conversation of this is going to decision. We're in agreement on that, okay? It's probably going to be a low striking output affair with no takedowns in it. So for minus 120, Holly Holm. For minus 130, Holly Holm. But people are getting on that. It's minus 140, Holly Holm now. I don't know. Take it by decision. I saw that line move, and
I was relieved at least to see that.
Because you got on it
Because I was
early.
just I hadn't played it yet. Okay. But I was just what am I missing here? This feels real trappy. Because it was basically a straight pick'em.
Yeah, now why is that? Why is it a straight pick 'em? So to see the money roll in, it's
So
okay.
to see the money roll in and the books to react to it, that makes me feel a little bit better. I still would play Holly Holm at minus 140, but you got to get on it fast. Because this is Raquel Pennington.
It's not
is
a
the
lock,
exact
though.
type.
It's a greasy fight.
Oh,
140 is the most I want to pay for it.
The thing is that Pennington's just the carbon copy type of opponent that Holly Holm can beat. Pressure fighter, moves forward. I don't think her wrestling is good enough to take down Holly Holm. Right. And Holly Holm is going to stay on the outside, do what she does, which is, couple kicks stopping you from coming in, a bunch of karate noises, and moving off on angles.
Outstrikes you by 7 or 8 strikes per round, which is enough to win the round, which is enough to win the
Holm by decision, probably only throws somewhere around 50 significant strikes the entire time. As we say, in the description, there's always the Draftkings Breakdown is always going to be listed, but this will be a pretty low volume fight in my opinion, but I think Holly Holm by decision is probably the most likely outcome.
It's the co-main event for this grand big pay-per-view. Holly Holm's on a 2-fight losing streak. Raquel Pennington is, in my eyes, on a 3-fight losing streak. They didn't even bother to touch on it on the countdown special.
No.
What are you doing, folks? Anyways, we got McGregor on it, so that's what sells. But yeah, it's a middling. Holly Holm's 38, by the way. I mean, at some point, she's going to put the brakes on. Raquel could take advantage, but minus 140, okay, jump on it. But it's not a lock, and don't play for anything worse than that.
We've got Maurice Greene taking on my boy.
Uh-oh.
Got a new t-shirt.
Nice shirt, by the way.
Alexei Oleinik. Maurice Greene minus 135. Alexei Oleinik plus 115. Does the 42-year-old dog have another one left in the tank here?
If he's 40-year-old Alexei Oleinik, all day easy money. If he's 41-year-old Alexei Oleinik, all day, perhaps not totally easy money, but still all day. If he's any other version of himself, this is such the perfect fight for him. It's ridiculous. But at 42, one has to wonder, man, what can he muster up?
1 year? If he was 41, you'd be all in?
The
If he was
difference.
40, you'd
no,
be
no,
all in?
no, no.
What's going on here?
Okay.
You
If
ageist?
Nah, you look at his style. He's the most prolific submission machine in heavyweight history. But he's not Frank Mir. He's not Antonio Nogueira. Sorry, he's not those guys. He's motherfucking the boa constrictor Alexei Oleinik. If he Ezekiel choke, his head and arm choke, his neck cranks. It's like it's old school submissions that just prove how strong he is. Also, he's a former middleweight. Has the frame of a middleweight, and yet now clocks in at 260 and still beats guys. You look at his Sherdog record, it's got him at he's got 4 wins by knockout. Dude, so deceiving. He's got a massive amount of power. He hits guys, they just topple over. And when they topple over, he submits them. Yeah. Which is why you don't realize that the fight with Travis Brown, it's like he dropped Travis Brown. The fight with, I know it's Anthony Hamilton, but all the same, it's like he drops these guys and then is able to follow up and submit him. The Mark Hunt fight, how did he get Mark Hunt down? He wobbles him with that left hook, he hurts Mark Hunt, and then he physically gets a takedown. But all the same, it's just like he's got enough power. Maurice Greene, 6'7", doesn't defend himself particularly well, doesn't have a great chin. A younger version of Oleinik is made to he always moves forward and he can take a fucking shitload of damage, right? Where that's not been helping him recently is he can't take a shitload of damage against Alistair Overeem. He can't take a shitload of damage versus Walt Harris. A couple fights prior to that, he can't take a shitload of damage against Curtis Blades.
Maurice Greene can't take a shitload of damage against Sergey Pavlovich.
Yeah, well, Maurice Greene, even though he's 6'7", a big heavyweight, former kickboxer, fought for Glory, the most prestigious kickboxing organization currently, is that he's a jabber, right? He's an outside stick fighter, jab, uses the right hand. Yeah, he knocked out Junior Albini 2 fights ago. But for the most part, he's just looking to jab from the outside. You've got to land crushing power to put Oleinik away, because otherwise, this guy's a former Spetsnaz. He's just going to walk forward and take the damage. Walks forward, takes the damage, all this. Why I say 42 is now getting hurt in some is that 2 fights ago, Overeem knocks him out. Pretty good. He turtled up. You could tell he was in a lot of pain, right? The last fight against Walt Harris, he lasted, 12 seconds? Flying knee. And he's a shot. It's like the top of his head after the flying knee. He's already dazed. And again, he's out. He's 42 years old. He never had great wrestling to begin with. He's gonna have trouble here. Maurice Greene is fast for his size, and he stays to the outside, and he's got a good kicking game. Alexei Oleinik is very, very, very flat-footed. Everybody that he's fought that's taller than him has used the kicking game extremely effectively. And because he's so short, body of a middleweight, he has trouble closing that distance. He's just moving forward the whole time. So Greene's got bad cardio. When he was on The Ultimate Fighter, he was smoking. And he's like 32, 33. I think he's 33 years old himself. He's not a prospect. He's not someone that's going to go far in this division. But he's got some tools to beat Oleinik.
For sure.
This is the smart play would be fucking pass, because Oleinik's got all the tools in the world, and for dog money, he's the money play. Maurice Greene at 35, I'm not looking to touch that, but he is actually my pick. I do see him just staying to the outside, jab, kick, where his cardio has been failing him. The Pavlich fight wasn't a cardio issue, it was that he did get caught, is what it is. But being at Factory X Muay Thai, you can see, look at his last 3 weigh-ins. He's physically in a lot better shape, and he's known to be a quick heavyweight. That's all you need. Kick game, speed, outside presence, don't get tired. But the second it hits the ground, if it hits the ground, it's over. So he has to fight a very smart game plan.
Maurice Greene was subbed by Juan fucking Espino on the Ultimate Fighter, wasn't he?
Yeah, rear naked choke. And you know what? Espino's got decent wrestling, decent grappling. But yeah, if the fight physically hits the ground, he's going to be in the world of shit. And the last point we'll move on here is that when you're a power puncher against Oleinik, he's going to allow you to tee off on him and hurt him. So you put him away. If you don't put him away, that's when you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Hunt didn't put him away. He got tired. He fucked him up. Travis Brown dropped him. He got back up, dropped Travis Brown, and then in the second round took him down and submitted him. You got to put him away. And because Greene isn't a power puncher, he's going to give Oleinik 15 minutes to score a single takedown. And then it could be lights out, game over. That's a pass. That's a hard pass. But you know what? Plus 115 and your boy.
You're probably going to have to play that one because the under is steamed to minus 165. Under 1.5 rounds steamed to minus 165 at this point. Books are telling you somebody's getting dusted.
So much recency bias. That's you look at Oleinik and you think he got finished in the first round in his last 2 fights, and his last 4 fights have been finished in the first round.
Finished pretty early.
Right. But he's been knocked out in his last 2, and Maurice Greene got submitted in the first, or got knocked out in the first in his last fight. And prior to that, knocked out Albini in the first. So both guys have finished in the first and the last 2. But the way this fight is a style clash, I'm taking the over 1.5 rounds on that.
Okay.
And if I was to play anybody on DraftKings, it's Oleinik. Maurice Greene, 8,400.
I agree completely. But yeah, we'll get to the DraftKings breakdown at the end of the show. Now we got Claudia Gadelha taking on Alexa Grasso. Gadelha is minus 105. It's basically a pick 'em. She became the slight underdog. Alexa Grasso minus 115. What's your take here?
Yeah, so like I said, it's UFC. Where you head at? And Claudia Gadelha is another fighter that we just don't know where she's at. You know, she's looked awful her last 4 fights, despite the fact that she's posted up a 2-2 record over that span. If you look back, let's say, you know, after she beats Carolina, the Jessica Andrade fight, she has a good first round and then just completely falls off the rails. Cardio gives out, striking gives out, bad performance, but it's Jessica Andrade. So that's a total free pass. No big deal, girlfriend. All good. Carla Esparza. Okay, she won that fight. Although, did she? I'm glad she did because I totally faded the absolute shit out of Carla Esparza. But it was like, damn. Carla won that fight. Carla out-hustled her. Carla, outside of the first round, Carla made her work. Now Claudia, she potentially has a cardio issue. But now, mind you, this is a girl that starts at Nova União when the team's rolling and is super hot. When they fall off the rails, and they're known for hot starts, once they fall off the rails, she's been lost ever since then. She ended up in Pennsylvania. Then she ended up at Greg Jackson's camp. Then she ended up out in Las Vegas.
Now she's doing like her own gym situation.
Very, very strange, just like the dynamic of her jumping around here, jumping around there. It's like
doesn't seem to fit in at any gym.
Yeah, and a lot of fighters do that once they become like a lost fighter. It's like, oh man, I'm not finding that, I'm not regaining that success that I once had. So like, what's missing? So you go to a different fight. Melvin Gillard was ultra talented, and then he moved to like 6 different gyms in the last 7 fights, not the last 7 fights at that time, and he posted up like a 1-5 record.
I imagine his issues were a little different than hers.
No doubt, dude, no doubt. I mean, it's like Clay Guida did it too for a little bit. It's just like you try to go to different places and it doesn't work. Remember Jake Ellenberger? He went and trained with Edmund and them, lost 2 fights, and was just like, what am I doing? Like, I need to get back with Rain and those guys. That's, I think, what kind of sort of happens over time. And with Claudia, maybe that's a reflection of those last 4 fights. So again, that's Jessica Andrade and Carla Esparza. Then the Nina Ansaroff fight, she starts off good, and then volume, cardio, she gives out. Nina takes control. Nina wins that fight in her last fight with Ronda Marcos. It's another close fight where she doesn't look exceptionally good. This has got all the writing on the wall, all the makings for a Claudia Gadelha fade. You should take Alexa Grasso. Grasso probably drops the first round, outboxes her 2 and 3, wins the fight. But you know me, I'm the biggest advocate of like styles make fights, and like Claudia has the style.
She has the style, but she doesn't have the commitment to. That's
she can't keep it up. That's the issue.
My what I wrote about her is that she's flaky.
Totally.
And it's just that,
good way of putting
like, for instance, in the Ronda Marcos fight last, she didn't even attempt to go for a takedown because I think she knows I can't wrestle for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem here. Because, like, Grasso, you know, she looked, especially in the Carolina fight, best she had ever looked. And she goes into the Esparza fight. Everyone's kind of piling onto Grasso in that spot. And Esparza, as Esparza does, lands 4 of 11 takedowns, ends up winning that fight pretty cleanly. Got hurt quite a bit in round 3, but was able to maintain, hold position, win the fight. I mean, the template for how to beat Grasso is still there, and like Gadelha, in theory, had a good, like in the past, had a good double leg takedown.
For sure.
Can take her down, control her for 2 rounds, and then just hold on for dear life in round 3. Don't get finished, and you probably win this fight. I just don't trust. My problem is I just don't trust her to actually go to the takedowns because I know that she's scared that she doesn't have the gas tank to wrestle for 3 rounds. And I mean, it's a straight pick 'em for a reason. But when we talked about DraftKings at the end, I mean, it's hard to trust Claudia Gadelha at this stage in her career. One of my first loves, one of my first babies in MMA, and I just don't trust the girl anymore.
Remember it was your baby, my baby, Claudia versus Joanna. 2, because you thought your baby got robbed the first time. Oh, Paul.
I mean, maybe she did.
Paul screams robbery. Yeah, remember Claudia thrashed her first 2 rounds, but then the cardio let out. Yeah. And it's just like, that's always been an issue. But she scored 4 takedowns against Carla Esparza, who's the second best wrestler in the division, probably behind Tatiana Suarez, right? 4 takedowns. When the fight does hit the ground, she's a former world jiu-jitsu world champion. She's a black belt. Grasso couldn't get up against Esparza. Grasso gave up takedowns against Esparza. But it's like Carla Esparza can shoot 11 takedowns in a fight. Claudia Gadelha can't shoot 11 takedowns in a fight. But the reason why my final pick here is I am going to go Claudia Gadelha is like you said, she can't do it for 15 minutes. I agree with you.
Maybe she can do it.
She can do it for 10 minutes. That's all I need here is that she will falter and lose that third round. But she's not likely to get finished. She got a cast iron chin on her. Let's be real. She can take a punch. And she's not getting submitted by Alexa Grasso. So she's literally just got to bank the first 2 rounds and then coast out. DraftKings want no part.
Probably,
but that's what you'd have to do.
Probably a better fight just to, if you have access to live betting windows and stuff. This is like it's going 3 rounds, very, very likely. You get a better read as the fight goes on. Is Claudia willing to take the fight to the ground, go for takedowns, or is she stand? Because if she just stands at range, I think she's going to get boxed up here.
You're right.
And if she fights like she did against Ronda Marcos, it's a totally different matchup. So I wouldn't. A rational game plan would say don't do that. She didn't want to wrestle with Marcos because she was confident she could outpoint her on the feet. So that all makes sense, but she can't do that in this fight. She will get boxed up against Grasso, who is the better, more technical, crisp striker at this stage in her career. We got Carlos Diego Ferreira taking on Anthony Showtime Pettis. Ferreira minus 230. Pettis plus 190. How times have changed.
We always say that with Pettis because he's nobody really likes betting on Anthony Pettis.
The guy has hard fights every single time.
This is true.
What advantages does Carlos Diego Ferreira really hold over Anthony Pettis?
The ground game, 100%.
Against Pettis, who doesn't get submitted?
Oh, still, he's a third-degree black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that when his fights hit the ground, he just thoroughly dominates guys. Anthony Pettis is a fine striker, no doubt about it. He can still win striking exchanges and spots. The Thompson fight is a good example of, like, he's not a better striker than Stephen Thompson, and he shouldn't be fighting at 170 pounds. But it's like, again, if you elect not to take him down, you are playing into his hand, and maybe he's got a Showtime trick or two still up his sleeve. But the Nate Diaz fight, it's like he definitely wins all of those striking, not all of them. The early portion striking exchanges, he's faster than Diaz, he's cleaner than Diaz, punches right down the middle, and he hurts Diaz. So that doesn't hurt him, but he's hitting Diaz. But as Diaz his ability to decide, I want to now take you down and then dominate you, that's the real key issue. And whereas Nate Diaz is not a good wrestler, once he breaks Anthony Pettis, the takedowns come at will, right? There's the problem with Anthony Pettis. And why? I will never bet on Anthony Pettis ever again. I don't care how good the line is, and this is a good line. To be honest, this is a trap line. Diego Ferreira is very appealing, but 230 is a very bad price. And if the fight stays standing, which it could, he's loopy, man. He's open, and if you look at any of the interviews,
he gets hit.
They keep talking about his striking improving. Fuck that, man. Don't try to strike with Anthony Pettis. Take him down. But he himself doesn't have a great gas tank, and he's worked a lot on his striking, but he's extremely hittable. Pettis is a guy that has power, is very clean, he's very precise, he's very technical, and if Carlos Diego Ferreira, who's had a wonky chin at moments in his career,
mostly at 145, at 155, that durability has seemed to fix itself. Like you go back to like Dustin Poirier when his durability was like most in question.
Yeah.
I mean, moving up those 10 pounds seemed to really revive his career. And shit, like he took some heaters from Mairbek Taisumov in the last time out, and he
100%
lived to tell the tale about it, was right up in his face, and started outstriking Taisumov. Like, that was a career-defining performance for him. That's a big spot for him, and he came out ahead.
Totally agree. And for a better price tag, I'm buying in big time into that.
This was a pick-em.
But for 230, do you know what I'm thinking for 230? He's 34 years old, okay? We can't overlook that. And remember the Kyle Nelson fight? Like, Kyle Nelson's nowhere near this guy's level. Kyle Nelson hurts him in the first round. So what is going on here?
I mean, I had CDF on every part of it. It was just like...
I talked a lot of shit on that show.
We were in the arena for that one. That was the Ortega Holloway card, wasn't it?
100%.
And man, I was puckered up. Let me tell you that much. We had told the whole world CDF.
It was Holloway Aldo.
Free money. Was it okay? Either way, it was a Toronto card.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was stressful.
Dude, big time. It was like, oh my God, what is going on? Now, Kyle Nelson, who took the fight on like 4 days' notice, got tired after the first round. And that was a big reason why Carlos Diego Ferreira has his way beyond that first little, greasy part in the first round. The Taisumov fight really shows you, hey, you know what? Maybe he's revamped a lot of those holes. But for 230, it's just not the most appealing price tag out there. You got to be smart. You got to get these takedowns against Anthony Pettis, and you got to exploit Pettis. But again, with Anthony Pettis, the Diaz fight, after the first round, he gives into it. The Stephen Thompson fight, he's getting smacked pillar to post before he lands that Superman punch. The Tony Ferguson fight, crazy fight, eh? And then on a stool, him and Duke are like, let's quit, man. You got a broken hand. I get it. I don't get it. I'm not a fighter. I don't have a broken hand.
In that fight against Tony.
Right. But it was the mentality of you're not coming back. Whereas a lot of these fighters, it's you got 5 more minutes to shake it up.
I mean,
guys
love or
with
hate
broken hands all
Love or
of
hate
the
Colby.
time.
I don't know if his jaw was actually broken. I don't know if they've posted any sort of pictures of that.
Somebody fought through.
I haven't heard him talk since that happened, so maybe that tells you the answer. He fought through it. He fought all the way through that fight with a broken jaw.
Yeah, but
and like severely damaged,
all
and then
of
got
the
finished
time.
at the end. But
all of the time, you'll Do Ho Choi the other day. It's like he broke his arm in the first round. It's like when? When did he break his arm? Because it seemed like he was fighting quite well afterwards. Like, oh, this guy broke his foot and he was compromised. Oh, this guy had an injured hand. So to see you quit in a very exciting fight that you had spots in, you hurt Tony. To see you quit, it's Tony. I get that, but. The Diaz fight, there was signs of it. The Dustin Poirier fight, it's a rib injury due to body triangle. He's in there. It's, oh, my rib hurts. It's a history of that. It's a history of maybe, perhaps, wanting a way out. Now, a weird story is he's suing USADA, right? And hey, man, my finger got cut on this. And you read the story, and like, do you know that? It's crazy. This is how my mind works. I'm not even factoring in the piss, the USADA, the cut, the pre-fight. I'm not. The only thing I took from that was Duke was telling him, don't fight, man. Don't fight. Don't fight. Collect your show money. It's not your fault you got cut. It's USADA's fault. Don't fight. Take your money. Let's go home. I don't know, man. That's not the mentality. Like, you're going to fight Nate Diaz here, who could have lost his motherfucking finger before and would have just taped it up and not said anything. Like, it's a different level, right? And because Pettis, at any time, you said flaky? That's what he is to me. He's a very talented fighter, but you're never going to have an accurate read on what he's going to give you that night because you just don't know if he's going to bring the goods or not. And against Carlos Diego Ferreira, who I believe has a significant grappling advantage, the wrestling advantage is going to be good enough for him to get the fight to the ground. And his striking's not terrible. Yeah, he stood toe-to-toe with good guys. He can pressure forward. You know who doesn't deal good moving backwards? Pettis.
No.
Barbosa did it to him.
Because he can't deliver his kicks when
Daniels
he's
did it to
moving
him.
off of his back foot.
Yeah.
And
Now,
his kicks are the solution.
the Stephen Thompson fight, he's moving backward.
Yeah.
Like, well, but what? Fuck ever, dude.
Yeah,
It's a one-shot miracle.
exactly.
Like that's the definition of a Hail Mary. I can't play too much into that. So either pass because the value's not good, or Carlos Diego Ferreira is the play.
And we got Macy Barber taking on Roxanne Modafferi, minus 900 Barber, plus 600 Modafferi. Can you poke any holes?
This is the biggest surprise.
The line is massive.
Yeah, the biggest surprise this morning. Yeah, the money is moving in the right direction. McGregor is just getting steamed, but he got that extra 30 points overnight. Holly Holm, hey, that's the play. What's going on here? Extra 20 points overnight. Macy Barber went down to 900. Like she's at 1,000 on most books, and that's what she is. Like, I don't see a world in where no. The world is Roxanne Modafferi snatches up a triangle off her back, but you gonna bet on that? Like,
people are just betting a plus 700 women's flyweight underdog because they historically will come through.
Who doesn't like Roxanne Modafferi? Oh, by the way, such a savvy veteran. Trying to become friends with Macy Barber before the fight. Dude, it's such a good play.
I mean, that's just her gimmick in general, though.
Yes, but that's a good gimmick.
Not really gimmick. She's just a nice person.
I like this person so much that when I'm on top of him, I might think for a split second, should I throw that extra elbow? That cut on her eye. Should I rake it? You ever see The Smashing Machine with Mark Kerr? He's like, do you rake the cut? Yeah, you raked the cut. Because it's like, dude, it's combat. Like, it's to the death. Macy Barber's got a mean streak. That's what I like about her. She's young. She's still green in spots, but she's developing very quickly, and she's got the goods. She's aggressive. She's got good cardio. She's got good power standing. Again, that's probably where she's the greenest. The standing, she's still very hittable, but she's making improvements. The ground game, it checks out. Wrestling seems to be good.
Yeah.
Her physical jiu-jitsu is pretty good. She's moving in the right direction, but again, she's mean and she's aggressive. And Roxanne Modafferi is not on the level of athlete of her. She doesn't have the aggression. She doesn't have the strength. She doesn't have.
It's probably the least athletic person to have this much success in MMA history.
She's the least athletic person in UFC history. I wouldn't say MMA history because soccer mom fought Ilian McFarlane, but in UFC history, you can think back to Sherman Pentagon. Okay, Tank Abbott, right? he's a fat drunk biker who literally just got off the bar stool at the Mandalay, right? And walked over and fought this guy. Guy was a D1 athlete, you know what I mean? He played high-end football in high school. Like, he was actually a very good athlete.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody. She just moves so stiff, so robotic, but she has so many fights. She's got a legitimate jiu-jitsu black belt.
Yeah.
And she's actually got a legitimate judo black belt. The problem with the judo black belt is you got to have some strength to use judo. Judo is a martial art based on strength.
You got credit where credit's due. And we've shit on Roxanne so many times over the course of the history of this show.
And she's won fights.
The girl puts forth an honest effort every single camp. You know that she's probably the type of person who's at the gym. She clocks in first and leaves last type of thing.
Role model for all the Vegas fighters.
The only reason why she's gotten to this level is seemingly a great work ethic. But yeah, athleticism is going to kill her in this, and I think it's going to be a one-sided beatdown.
Yeah, now,
I loving minus 900? Of course not.
No, here's the real question. The only question to discuss here is that as much as Macy Barber runs rickshaw across this girl, if the fight stays standing, oh man, what a beatdown that's going to be. If the fight goes to the ground, it's not going to be Barber on her back. It's going to be Barber on top. And like, oof, what a beatdown that's going to be. Question is, does Macy Barber put her away? Does she win a decision? And that's where I'm having trouble gauging it. I mean, Barber's very aggressive. Takes out Jillian Robertson first round. Jillian Robertson's durable. JJ Aldrich is durable. She took her out in the second round. Hannah Cyphers. If Hannah Cyphers has literally anything going for her, is that she's durable. That's literally the only thing she's got going for her. She takes her out in 2. But like Roxanne, again, she's got that same durability. Like, she doesn't take a ton of damage. She takes enough damage. You know what? This is a stoppage. This is a stoppage win for Macy Barber with under 1.5. No, it could go 2 rounds.
Main event of the prelims.
It's not seeing
rolling
3,
into
though.
a McGregor card.
Late in the second, finish Barber. Worst case.
Yeah.
That's the move.
I think so.
Okay, moving on.
We got Sadiq Yusuff taking on Andre Touchy Fili. Yusuff minus 130. Fili plus 110. Originally, when I saw this one, I was like, you know what? Really like Sadiq Yusuff. The more I think about this one, who's tried to take Sadiq Yusuff down?
Yeah.
Nobody that I can really see. Nobody of any credibility has.
Nobody had any wrestling
I mean,
chops.
he took on a Mukhtarian in his first time.
Oh, yeah. He did grinding takedowns, believe me.
That doesn't count. I mean, the win against Gabriel Benitez last time out, that's a great win. We've won lots of money on Benitez here. He's a very good guy, kicks like a mule. Nobody's going for takedowns on this guy. Fili, he's got the piano key, whatever the hell type of belt.
Yeah.
From Joby.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Who obviously doesn't train there anymore.
No, he's in Vegas now.
But I don't know. I think this is originally I saw it, and this is like, before the holidays, been so much time in between. I have a lot more questions about it now, and I'm starting to think, 3-inch reach advantage for Andre Fili here, wrestling advantage. I like the Fortis MMA, where Yusuff, and I like the guys that are coming out of that gym and everything like that. But Fili has kind of paid his dues. He's fought some really top-end guys, and he seems to be rounding into form. We saw him take down Dennis Bermudez way back when. I think his wrestling game is considerably better, and I have questions about what happens if Yusuff ends up on his back, because he's just been blowing through everybody so far. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say before I make kind of my final selection here.
Yeah, so this is a new segment I want to start doing this new year. It's going to be Cody's too good to be true price, and Sadiq Yusuff for me is that. I mean, I love him. I'm sold on him just like everybody else. I mean, his striking seems to be on another level. It's not only did he beat Gabriel Benitez, and again, we favored him in that matchup against Benitez. Like, he knocked the shit out of Benitez in the first round. This guy's got some sweet power, He's very well-rounded. Trains at a great camp in Fortis MMA that's just churning out prospects left, right, and center. He's a Lloyd Irvin guy. So whereas we haven't seen someone try to submit him, he's a Lloyd Irvin guy, man. Like, he's well-established. He knows what he's doing. It's just maybe we haven't had that right chance to see that. But Fili has cost me a lot of money because, man, this guy's like perennially, I never give him his full credit, and like, very talented guy, man. He knows how to win. He's got good ring IQ. He can strike. He can grapple. It's just he knows when to go in between which. You know what his best thing about him, and he's cost me a lot of money, so this fucking kills me, is that he'd probably lose the first 3 minutes of the fight, but man, he always does enough the latter half of the round to win these decisions, right? The Lobov fight, he's desperate. He can't strike with Lobov, very surprising. But Lobov's got him reeling, so he just takes him down at will. It was a good game plan, right? The Dennis Bermudez fight, it's like, okay, buddy, you can't take down Dennis Bermudez, and Bermudez is faster, better athlete. He wins a split, and it's just like, dude, he was taking Dennis Bermudez down. The Michael Johnson fight, he loses a split. I thought he won. So glad he lost, because again, I faded him in that fight. But it's like he's taking down Michael Johnson, who was known as a decent collegiate wrestler at a junior college level anyways. The Miles Jury fight, I faded him. He kicked the shit out of Miles Jury. Bad, right? UFC cuts Miles Jury. And then the fight with Shayman Moraes, he knocks him out in the first round. Like, he's 29. He's getting better. He trains at a gym that's just wrestling, striking. He's put together an excellent game plan. And so I'm all over Sodiq. And that's why it's too good to be true. This is the apple pie shitter. Smart play is passed. Could be fight of the night. It's going to be extremely fun, and you're going to have a great time, and you're going to stress out when you put money either side. Fili, dog money. You need a dog. Hey, man, I've been picking a lot of favorites. Plus 110. Maybe that's your first dog spot, but I just love Sodiq Yusuff so much, I can't convince myself to just fade him on the basis of good value. So I'm going to go Sodiq, and I fully understand that if this was a parlay piece, it's risky. And you know what? This is probably priced pretty accordingly. It seems too good to be true to me, but that's probably a fair price, and that's why I'm overthinking this one. Who are you taking? Are you going Fili?
I'm gonna stick with Sadiq when we talk about DraftKings. I think 7,700 Fili if I think that he's gonna be able to get takedowns. The problem is that I'm not saying that he has terrible takedown defense. It's just that nobody's tried, so I just don't have an answer. And I need an answer.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
But I guess like DraftKings is kind of where you're able to you're able to play a little bit more questionable kind of situations like that. Full straight up bet. It's going to be hard for me to bet Fili in this spot. Maybe I'll maybe I'll regret that. But I'll stick with Super Sadiq. But yeah, it's a questionable kind of spot here. I definitely have questions about Yusuff, especially if he's getting off of his back.
Well, with Fortis MMA in general, right? It's like, man, this gym is popping right now. It's just like, well, who's popping? It's like, oh, dude, Ryan Spann, right? Ryan Spann's kicking some ass. It's like, he's a kickboxer. Can he wrestle? I don't really know. Carlos Diego Ferreira, man, he's got jiu-jitsu and he's learning to bang, but like, can he wrestle? I don't really know. Neil just knocked out Perry. Oh, this guy's got hands of steel. Neil, baby. It's like, can he wrestle? It's like, I don't really know.
They've been really good at getting opponents that don't have wrestling.
So straight up, it's like, yeah, like this guy, can he wrestle? I'm just gonna have to assume so until I see somebody prove it otherwise. That's having faith in a process. It's my
Kennedy
guy.
Njoku.
Oh yeah, he can't wrestle for shit.
He can't wrestle for shit.
Yeah, but he's got size. Size just does not play in his favor. He's so unproportionate. Anyways, man, now I'm overthinking it again. Get out of my head, Paul Shaughnessy. You are going Sodiq, though, ever so slightly? Sounds like passes
for the purposes of the show, yes, but we move on.
Okay.
We got Nasrat Haqparast taking on Drew Dober. Nasrat is minus 325, Dober plus 265. Who you got here?
Remember when you were saying earlier you're a little bit worried that the Holly Holm line wasn't moving? I'm a little bit worried about the Nasrat Haqparast line not moving. 325 is, obviously, it's a deep price for anything. You never want to be paying much more than that. Regardless, and Drew Dober is definitely no walkthrough opponent. I mean, he's got skills. He's got training partners on the card. He should be well prepared. But it's like, man, when I talk about guys I'm sold on, like, yeah, Sodiq Yusuff, we still have to see some tests from him. We still got to see some things from him. With Nasrat, it's like, man, I am sold. I think this guy can strike. I think he can wrestle. I think he's one of the guys with TriStar that they're helping him with that fight IQ side of the planning. And I'm sold on him. I think he beats Drew Dober anywhere he wants to. And 325 is a reflection of that. Yeah. But the fact that it has not moved at all is like nobody's even playing it. Like nobody's saying a floater on Dober, and nobody's saying, yeah, I like Nasrat too. Like 325 is built in, but there's been no movement on it. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. Do you think Dober can pull off an upset? How does he pull off the upset? Does he catch him with a lucky punch? Like Nasrat's got a hell of a chin on him.
No, Nasrat's got a hell of a chin.
And that his striking is just, there's way too much volume. Like Dober can have a good first round. It's just like ultimately he's going to succumb to it in the second and third. And like he's got a history of pressure getting to him. I agree,
Nasrat's
dude.
A beast. I think he fucks him up.
You know what? We're on the same page then. That's why
like that Joaquim Silva fight. I rewatched that just before he came in, and I was trying, especially with this price. I was like, I'm trying to poke holes at him, and I was just no. I feel like I know Drew Dober, American kickboxing background, like he's legit on the feet. I just think Nasrat's just gonna walk him down.
You want to know the thing with Nasrat?
Now, I'm not sure that he like that. Drew Dober's got, and when I say a chin, I mean his chin. Like he's got like it's a mass.
Yeah,
it's gonna be hard to knock that thing out. But
yeah, Kelvin Gastelum would take a punch too. You know what I mean? It's just like the head's built this certain shape. John Lineker has a excellent head. No,
I'm talking about Dober's.
Oh, Dober's chin.
Dober's chin is the biggest chin.
It's a hell of a target. Yeah,
it's a hell of a target. But he does.
Yeah, it's not compact. He got a big old chin. You know, he's an extremely talented guy. With Nasrat, especially at this time. This is 2000.
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
No, go ahead.
I don't see how the fight against Joaquin Silva is all that much different than this one.
Yeah, fair.
For Nasrat, and he passed that with flying colors.
And Joaquin Silva's power carries longer than Dober's. Like, Dober tends to get, even though he's a Denver guy, trains at altitude, all the works, it doesn't have cardio issues. The power doesn't translate longer in. Anyways, with Nasrat, when he debuts against Marcin Held, right, 2017, he's a 3-1 underdog. I never heard of the guy. I didn't know how the fuck he was, right? I went big on Marcin Held. Didn't really give Nasrat any credit. Nasrat loses that fight, only fight he's lost in UFC in his career, I believe. Yeah, he's lost 2, but the Marcin Held fight, whatever. It's 2017, he loses that fight, sure. You know, it was 1 month after his 21st birthday.
Yeah.
Right?
I forget how young this guy is.
Yeah, man. So he comes back like a little less than a year later. So he took like a good year off, came back against Dia Casey, he was a hot prospect, smokes him. T-Bow Gowdy is not on his level, but he smokes him. Joaquin Silva, now it's just like, oh shit, this guy's a banger. And like Nasrat is he's 24 now, and you see the improvements. The arc's high for this kid.
He was at TriStar. I don't know if he is at this camp. He was at TriStar before, and I forget where I saw the interview, but GSP was talking about him.
Yes,
this guy
hand recruited him.
This guy shows up at the gym, and he's just like, this kid is like the future. He's super talented. GSP doesn't just bring up guys' names like that. It's very rare when he does.
And GSP's such a big star too. Is that like if he still was going to TriStar, do you know how many people would be going by TriStar? Maybe we'll see George. People signing up. Oh, there's George. I'll go see if I can get an autograph. Maybe I can get a picture. It's like. He doesn't want that. So George doesn't really train at TriStar. George has his own like elite facility that he's paid for. We're kind of like Donald Cerrone. It's just like an offshore camp. And he brings guys from the Montreal Wrestling Club and like all these different guys, like high-end level athletes. He works with them privately. Yeah, they said Nasrat was there for like a week or two, and he was just like, you're coming for all my workouts. Like, you're going to be in my corner. Like, not in my corner. You're going to be like one of my main guys. Everybody's sold on this kid. 24 years old. Getting better. Drew Dober's had his chance. You know, he was a prospect when he came to the UFC. He's won some fights. He's lost some fights. He's had some good moments. He's had some bad moments. He's a run-of-the-mill guy. He's not a top 15 contender. He's never going to be a top 15 contender, but he's a good little gatekeeper journeyman that's going to keep interesting fights and be a good litmus test for guys to see where they're at in their careers. But I'm on the team. Nasrat's the man. I'm sold on him. This is give him 2 or 3 more years. He's challenging for a title. It's like I'm in on him. So this is just another step in the road, right? Does he knock out Drew Dober? That's a good question. Joaquin Silva had a hell of a chin on him, and you know he knocks out him in the second round. With Dober, meanwhile, it's like the fight with Dariush. She was looking awesome. The fight with Polo Reyes, it was really early. The fight with Tuck, the fight with Camacho, the fight with Berkman. What all those guys have in common, other than Beneil Dariush, is like they've really fed him the bottom level. Mm-hmm. Josh Berkman. Well, these are his wins.
I mean, Berkman was just a layup fight for pretty much everybody, especially at the end of Berkman's career.
Yeah, well, okay, so Jason Gonzalez, who's long since been cut, he wins against that guy, right? Olivier Aubé-Mercier, fringe top 15 contender, but legit. Well, he loses that one. Berkman, old man, should have been in the UFC at this point, long cut, right? Frank Camacho, fun fights, he's still hanging around, but he's not a top guy. John Tuck, again, long been cut, fights for Ryzen now. Beneil Dariush, fringe top 15 guy, who's legit, loses, and then he rebounds beating Polo Reyes.
So if you believe that Nasrat is a fringe top 15 guy, which I do believe.
Which I think he is all day. Yeah. I think Nasrat goes in. Guy, I think Nasrat blows the brakes off Olivier Aubé-Mercier, and honestly, and I'm a huge Dariush guy, I think Dariush would be in a lot of trouble against Nasrat. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I believe he walks all over him. 325. That's your, I got your too good to be true. That's your play of the week. Nasrat 325. it's not anything magical. He's 325. It's a big price tag, but like
your
on a
parlay
card
piece.
of locks, yeah, the biggest lock on the whole card is Macy Barber. I can't do that to you. But this is like the one that makes sense. Like you could theoretically bet that and make money.
We got Alexa Camur taking on Justin Ledet. Camur minus 120, Ledet plus 100. Watching Camur's fight on the Contender Series. Guy throws a lot of kicks, not so much with the hands, one with a flying knee. I see that all as, and like, listen, Justin Ledet, I think he's like a flat earther, bit of a jabroni.
Total jabroni, bit of a jabroni.
Big time goofball. He's a jabber, though. And if somebody's throwing kicks, and we've seen Ledet, you know, he came in at heavyweight, and he was, hey, this guy's got a really good jab for this. Hey, this guy is able to get some submissions and stuff. Obviously, he got absolutely destroyed by Johnny Walker last time. Spinning back fists. These things happen in MMA. I could totally see him just landing jabs at will on this Alexa Camur guy. So maybe Camur's got more in the tank than I've seen on tape. But plus 100 Ledet doesn't seem like the worst idea to me. I think he's got a 5 to 6 inch reach advantage depending on the site that you look at. I think he's got like an 80-inch reach, whereas Camur's got a 74-inch reach. Like that's perfect for his jab game, which will make him an absolute horrible DraftKings play when we get to that, because
he is always
jabs don't count as significant strikes. So all he's gonna do is he's gonna try to just stand in the pocket and just throw jabs all day long. I think he can do it for 3 rounds in this spot. So as much as I don't know if I'm gonna bet him, but that is the side that I'm looking at right now. What about you?
Yeah. This is a very much well-priced spot where it's minus 120 Alexa Camur, plus 100 Justin Ledet. It's basically a pick 'em. It's even money. I mean, Camur's got a better upside in that I think he's younger. I think maybe he could develop. It's just he's very green right now. So a plan that revolves solely around just feeding this guy a steady diet of jabs could potentially work. And that's Justin Ledet's best path, man. Yeah. When he has a speed advantage over you and a height advantage over you, reach advantage over you, he makes good use of it. And he has a good height and reach advantage in this specific spot against Alexa Camur. So could he just stay to the outside and kick away? Yeah, for sure. But again, coming back to the where yo head at, it's like he just got knocked out by spinning back fist in like 15 seconds by Johnny Walker. And prior to that, Alexander Rakic absolutely beat the brakes off.
And he was able to took him down at will.
Those are good fights, man. Those are good fights. You know what I mean? It's like I hold no negative thoughts. He lost to Alexander Rakic, who I like, and he lost to Johnny Walker, who hit him with a Johnny Walker type of move. Mm-hmm. It's like he's not that faded to me, but it's also like I don't know where he's at. Is he just going to be content standing on the outside and jabbing his way all night? And the thing with Alexa Camur is that he's got a Golden Gloves boxing background, and he's one of the top training partners for Stipe. So it's like he understands fighting a taller guy on the outside that has a significant boxing advantage. Like he's not out of his element. Justin Ledet.
I just found it interesting on his Contender Series fight that like he barely threw his hands.
Yeah, and he got stung. He got stung too. That I didn't like, but Ledet's not a power puncher, right?
No.
So him getting hurt, it's like, I don't know that Ledet's going to be able to do that, right? And then with Justin Ledet, it's like, not only is he a flat earther, but like his view on the shape of the earth is a lot like his career. He's a flat career. Like he won 3 fights in a row when he came to the UFC. And since then, it's just like tapered off. He makes no improvements. He stands to the outside and he jabs. He's got submission victories prior to coming to the UFC, but that submission game has just never translated. He's never shown it. His wrestling game, what wrestling game? He can't wrestle. He can stay on the outside and jab. And he was fighting useless heavyweights. It worked because he was faster than them, shorter, and had better gas tank. But dropping down to 205, it hasn't. Anyways, the point there being is that the version that you see with Justin Ledet in every fight in the UFC, same version. And what are we going to see come Saturday? The same Justin Ledet. Could he win based on that skill set that he's always had and that he always employs? Yeah, potentially. With Camur, it's like theoretically he is getting better. You've seen the progression in his own career. He comes to the Contender Series. That was a good fight for him in the Contender Series because he got hurt and he came back and he wins. And it's just like it's a gut check perseverance. Now he's in the UFC, bright lights. But man, you've been here before in the sense that like you've been here with Stipe, you've been here with Jeff Hughes, you helped corner those guys. You've been in UFC championship level quality camps before. You were on Dana White's Contender Series in Las Vegas, so you've got that out of the way. Like, I would say you should probably just walk away from this fight altogether. But yeah, there's a reason why he's the slight favorite. He's got slightly more things going for him. There's no world I want to bet Anthony Pettis. I just don't trust him. Mm-hmm. There's also no world where I want to bet Justin Ledet. How could you ever trust him? He doesn't look like he takes it seriously, man. He wears shirts like I'd rather be boxing, and he shows up in flip-flops and pajama pants, and it looks like he just got out of bed. And then when he fights, there's no urgency, man. It's like, do not put your hard-earned money on somebody like that because you care a lot more than he does, believe me. And he's fighting in the goddamn UFC. So plus 100 is not good enough. And it would have to be like plus 155 for me to change my thinking on him. But anything less than that, like, no way.
Fair point. We got Askarov taking on Tim Elliott. Askarov minus 135. Elliott plus 115. I remember we were talking about Tim Elliott, and we were talking about,
guys.
The guy likes to go and party. The guy who likes to go and party. Like, he posted some really weird shit when he was, like, in Thailand a few times. It looks like, I was creeping his Instagram. He's dating Gina Mazzani.
Yeah, I know. And she's way bigger than
he had a weird post where he had, like, I'm guessing it's Gina Mazzani's daughter. And they were in the bathtub.
Yeah, she's got a kid, yeah.
Yeah, so they're in the bathtub together, which is, with her, which is kind of fucking weird.
Because it ain't his kid.
But but it's like, it seems like he's at least, he's living that dad life. There's a lot of pictures of him, like,
I seen one
taking her for bicycle rides and stuff like that.
He's working the speed bag. He's like, right? And then it's her ace. He's fucking hitting her ace. And I was just like, yeah, it looks like he's having a good time. Looks like he's falling into the family man role.
Yeah, which I think is going to be good for this guy who has seemingly would go to Thailand and kind of go on benders. Askarov, when he's taking on Moreno, most people actually had Moreno winning that fight. He ends up winning a real sketchy decision.
It was a draw, but yeah. He was lucky to get the draw.
It was the draw.
Considering it was a dicey fight.
A lot of people had Moreno winning that one. He got reversed a whole bunch of times against Moreno.
I didn't like that.
Tim Elliott.
Scramble master.
Scramble. Well, maybe not. He's no Dustin Ortiz scramble master.
No, but he has a single ever DK record, does he not?
Oh, no. Holloway beat him.
Holloway
beat him by landing 400 significant strikes against Brian Ortega. But up until that, 175 points against Louis Smolka.
Yeah, ridiculous.
There is potential for that to happen here. What's your take on Tim Elliott? Do you think it's dad season? Do you think he's got dad swag, even though he's not actually the father?
Yeah, well, okay, so here's the issue with Tim Elliott, is that with Tim Elliott at his best was a grinder out of the Midwest, right? He's out of Kansas, and the guy just goes to his wrestling and grinds. Makes it to the Ultimate Fighter, and it's very weird that he's on the Ultimate Fighter, considering he's a bona fide badass, taking out a bunch of guys that just weren't in his league, and he runs right through them. That whole time, he's with Glory MMA and Fitness in Kansas under James Krause. Mm-hmm. Then he fights Demetrius Johnson. Wow. What a performance, considering it's like, why the fuck is Tim Elliott fighting Demetrius Johnson? It's just like, yeah, you gave this guy a go. And right after that fight with Demetrius Johnson, beat Smolka and then left Kansas and went to Vegas. And I don't know, man. He's just not focused. He's not the same guy anymore.
You're looking at his record right now. So start with Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah.
And then say win. Just go
okay, that. Right. So fair enough. I catch the vibe here. So after he loses Demetrius Johnson, he beats Louis Smolka, who was an alcoholic and had a drinking problem at the time. Then he loses to Ben Nguyen in 49 seconds when he got caught. Then he beat Mark De La Rosa. Then he lost to Davison Figueroa. Now he's getting Askarov.
Uh-oh.
You know how I see this fight going, honestly? Tim Elliott's got really, really, really lackluster submission defense. He's not just getting caught like, oh shit, he got outgrinded. It's like Ben Nguyen caught him in 49 seconds. Davidson Figueroa caught him in 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Both of them were kind of fluky. Ben Nguyen just ended up on his back with a rear naked choke. It was like that.
It's because he's willing to scramble without worrying about his position.
No, he does not worry about his neck whatsoever. Yeah. He just jams it into bad positions.
He just thinks that he'll be able to get out of it, and he's proven time and time again that he cannot get out of it.
This Askarov guy, can scramble as well. If you watch any of his fights in Russia prior to signing to the UFC, like I think he's got a striking advantage. I think the only thing he's giving up is the cardio. But I got a feeling he's going to catch him prior to the fight making it the 15. And if it does make the 15, he should be able to bank enough to at least get a... Listen, the thing with the Brandon Moreno fight is that, like, it was very closely contested, but yeah, people think Moreno won. People also think Askarov won, and people had the fight being a draw. Like, it was a very close competitive fight against a young, good, up-and-coming fighter who's got a very good ground game. Moreno's on his way up. You know, it's prospect versus prospect. Elliott's not there anymore, man. Again, it coincides with his move to Vegas. Now, here's where I don't think him being with Gino Mazzani changes anything. Is that, like, he moves to Vegas, and I met him in Vegas, and he was fucked, dude. Now he goes to Thailand, and, like, he deleted all of that shit. Eh? You try to find it, it does not exist. Now he comes back. Now he's still in Vegas. Now his career doesn't really look like it's taking off. Oh, he's got wins over a non-sober Louis Smolka. It'd be better now. Mm-hmm. But again, style clash, it's like Smolka doesn't have a style to compete against a grindy wrestler like that. Regardless, Ben Nguyen smokes him out. He beats Mark De La Rosa, and then Davidson Figueroa submits him. There's the interesting thing, is that Figueroa is not known for his submission game, and he submitted him. I think Askarov, who, by the way, didn't look great in his UFC debut out of the way.
Yeah, fair.
Now you're getting a sophomore effort. He's got his feet wet.
A guy who's going to be apt to grapple, and if
he's got 3 rounds under his belt. Like, yeah. And you know what? I mean, geez, 135 seems too good to be true. But I'm going to give that title to Sodiq Yusuff. But yeah, as far as like you're looking for fights that are value, we don't got a whole lot of dogs here. It doesn't look like a great dog card. Chad Skelly 225 could have been a great dog, but we'll never know.
Yeah, that fight's
canceled. What a kick in the balls. Yeah, it's canceled. It's off. It wasn't that I didn't think Grant Dawson was going to win. Grant Dawson, look, he's one of my guys, but 265 is a really bad price.
I thought it was a bad spot. Well, yeah, I just thought it was a bad spot considering that Grant Dawson does all of his best work by wrestling. He's taking on like an NAIA top level, like All-American, junior college All-American.
Who's a black belt. And so if the grappling nullified itself, Chad Skelly had massive striking advantages there. Anyways, that could be the lost dog of the card. We'll never know. Unless it gets rebooked, who knows? But in this spot, it's like, yeah, you might find yourself trying to chase a dog. I'm not going to chase dogs. I'm just going to look for those near even money spots. Askarov, 135, money to be made. Sodiq Yusuff, minus 130, money to be made. I'm still not fully sold on Claudia Gadelha at minus 105, but something to consider, because again, it's near even money fight. That's where we'll get some of that value. And of course, you can parlay all of those, with my opinion. You put them with Nazareth and you put them with Macy Barber. Yeah. And bet them individually. Bet a parlay, 3-fight parlay, Barber, Nazareth, Askarov. The next one, Nazareth, Barber, Yusuff. Like, that's how confident I am in those top 2. The other ones is where we're chasing a little bit of value, but that's where I think the money is to be made.
We have Odie Osbourne taking on Brian Kelleher, minus 140 Osbourne. Brian Kelleher is plus 120. I saw over the break, Kelleher was like borderline begging to like fight at natural weight.
And rapping.
And was he rapping too?
Yeah, he raps a lot.
I feel like John Lineker, taking that damage against John Lineker kind of broke this guy.
It may have.
And he's given up 7-inch reach advantage. I mean, Odie Osbourne, his fight on the Contender Series, getting an armbar for guard, like, that shit doesn't happen in UFC.
Yeah, it was getting taken down real easy, too.
Yeah, that shit doesn't happen in top-level UFC type of action. People just don't get armbars from guard. So I kind of, I just discredited that win entirely. But it's hard for me to get on board with Brian Kelleher, who seems to want to be involved in broadcasting. He wants to be given his shake at that. I don't know how committed this guy is to fighting anymore. And over the break, I don't know if the tweet, I forget which day it was, but I saw him posting, hopefully somebody can reach out to my opponent and maybe we can not cut weight coming into this. I mean, we all have holidays and we all eat a little bit too much over the holidays and that type of stuff. And most of us don't have to shed 20% of our weight leading up to a specific little small time period and make weight. But that was kind of a red flag for me as well. I don't know if I'm going to bet Odie Osbourne, but I'm not touching Brian Kelleher. I'll tell you that much. What about you?
Yeah. You know what the question for the DK dollars should have been is like, who's the most untrustworthy fighter on this card? Because there's just so many. And Brian Kelleher, again, falls into that category. You don't know where his head's at. He's ultra talented. He's got all the skills in the world to beat Odie Osbourne. It's just, you don't know if he's going to put them together. Listen, first of all, what's Odie Osbourne's biggest weakness is takedown defense. And Brian Kelleher, New York boy, decent wrestler. Not good wrestler. Decent wrestler. Good enough to get this fight to the ground. When the fight gets to the ground, Brian Kelleher, black belt. Good black belt. Good submission. Submission defense lacking for whatever reason. But like as far as him being on top, like good. How's his striking? Pressure striker. Swings bombs. Gets in your face. Went hard against John Lineker before he got knocked out. Put the absolute beating of a lifetime on Hennon Brow. Standing in the pocket with him. Guy's got skills all over, but it's like he finds ways to lose, you know, like whether he's getting caught in submission. And I think that's very much somebody 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You know, when Robin Black got released from Fight Network, actually, Brian Kelleher reached out to him. Brian Kelleher not signed to the UFC at this point. Brian Kelleher reached out to him and it was just like, hey, I'm an MMA fighter and I have a podcast. We should do a podcast together. A fighter and, you know, an ex-fighter analyst. We should do a podcast. And Robin just kind of brushed it off. Like 6 months later, he beat Julio Arce, future UFC veteran, but he beat him on the regional scene. Beat him twice, actually. And then goes to the UFC. Then he beat Yuri Alcantara. Whoa. Then he had that big win over Hennon Barrow. Whoa. And more importantly to anything is that he won a fight of the night against Damian Stasiak. This is what perhaps kind of ruins Brian Kelleher. Is that Brian Kelleher tastes the $50,000 bonus. And Brian Kelleher stops using his effective weapons in light of... Why would you stand in front of John Lineker? Mm-hmm. Does that make any sense?
Because you want 50 G's, baby.
He wanted the 50 G's. Against Montel Jackson. Montel Jackson's one of these young, hot, up-and-coming prospects. He's on the way up. Kelleher's on his way down. Yep. Kelleher does not fight a good game plan against him.
Well, he just takes that elbow to the side of the dome, and he crumbled.
And then he gets caught in the dark.
That's why I think Lineker may have broken this guy's durability.
Yes. And Montel Jackson, you know, he's got a great size for MMA, and I think he could be a good prospect. But he's not. He's got long arms. The darce is obviously a move that would work very well for him, but he's not known for his submission game. And Kelleher's a black belt. He shouldn't have gotten submitted, but it was the damage. Jeez. Now part of you's thinking, I'm hurt, kind of want out. Maybe he takes that out. It's seeing everything he's done since then. 13 months off on the sidelines after that fight. Failed rapping career, wants to do podcasts, wants to do broadcasting stuff. But I have an opportunity here to fight an up-and-coming prospect similar to the last guy. If I mind my P's and Q's and take this guy down and out-grapple him, I can win this fight. If I lose this fight, I'm cut. It's the end of the road. And you know what? I'm kind of sick of this shit anyways. I'm a 30-fight veteran. I fought in tough guys. I fought in the UFC. I've won a bonus. I beat a former champion, Hennon Barrow. I'm okay with how my career ended up. I'm getting older. This could be my last off. So what do? You hunt for 50 G's, baby! And that's what's going to get him caught. So to be honest, this is probably a pass. Like I don't love it from either.
A lot of passes on this card.
Yeah, and that's the problem is that like I'm gonna run it down and give you my official picks, and Odie Osbourne is that official pick, but it's like it's not. You gotta be smart. We're anxious because it's the first card of the year.
Yeah,
it's a McGregor card. Everyone's got their bank accounts stocked up for the new year. Hey, we want to do some damage. It's like the best way to beat these guys is to not just go bank every card. And by the way, this is a card very much where it's like if something was getting canceled on it, and I like this fight, and it's going to be an entertaining fight. But if something on this fight is not appealing to you whatsoever, is that, you know, like all the other fights you could kind of want to see. Odie Osbourne, was getting taken down like nothing. Slammed an armbar for guard. By the way, Odie Osbourne, right? This is important to note here. Prior to that, he beat this Kelly Offield K. Prior to that, he beat Orland Delaney, who was 3-8. Prior to that, he fought Orland Delaney again, who was 3-7 at the time. And prior to that, he lost by knee bar in 24 seconds. Knee bar in 24 seconds. And that was only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is not a good prospect.
No.
This is not a highly touted prospect. This is some guy who's friends with Pettis, by the way. He's a Wisconsin guy from Pura Vida who's on the card. And Kelleher, they're doing Kelleher a favor here. This is totally a winnable fight for you.
Yep.
But I don't trust where Kelleher's at because I think he's pulling back. Mm-hmm. And so that's why, you know, a pass is a smart play. I'm sorry to say it.
And finally, we've got your baby, JJ Aldrich, taking on Sabino Mazo. Aldrich, ever so slight favorite, -115, -105. Basically a straight pick 'em. What you got?
Yeah, straight pick 'em. Tough to read, honestly. Sabina Mazo, I think that she's got a very promising future. I think this is going to be a very good fight. I think she's going to have a good chance to showcase off all of her improvements and all that. But she's 22 years old. And when you see her fight, you see that potentially there's greatness there. Potentially there's someone who's going to be, you know, a contender at the very least. Definitely a top 5, top 10 fighter down the road at 125 pounds. But she's 22 years old, man. Like, you can't rush the process. That's why I like what they're doing for Maycee Barber. Maycee Barber, who also got the J.J. Aldrich treatment already. But Maycee Barber needs to be fighting the Roxanne Modafferi that don't pose a huge threat so she can grow both in age, both in size, physicality, game, awareness, all those things, reflexes, just develop properly before you go and you fight that next level of fighter, right? They're doing it the right way there. This is going to be a tough enough fight for Sabina Mazo. She's got to go out there and do the same thing that Maycee Barber did, and that's probably weather a tough opening round from J.J. Aldrich and then pull it together. But that's where I think that she'll have the advantage there, is that J.J. Aldrich, for how much as I like her, and this is definitely a striker versus striker battle, J.J. Aldrich is cleaner. But the fucking game plan falls right to shit after the first round with Aldrich, I find. She either has to be having her way, or if the cards are starting to get stacked against her, she kind of falls apart a little bit. And there's the thing with Mazo. Mazo's last fight against Shayna Dobson. Yeah, it's Shayna Dobson. I get it. But you just got to look on pure output numbers, right? She absolutely trounces her with volume. She's got kicks. She's got knees. She's got punches. She's a lot taller. She's a lot rangier. She's got a bigger reach than J.J. Aldrich. So it's up to J.J. Aldrich to dictate the dance. And J.J. Aldrich, you look at all of her fights, the numbers aren't there. You know, the Maycee Barber fight, she had a good first round, but then as soon as she got hit clean, she reels backwards. Other fights that she's had, like the Juliana Lima fight, like how you not being Lima, but it's like once she started getting frustrated with the fact that she was giving up takedowns, she stopped throwing punches because she was worried about the takedowns. Mazo could attempt a takedown, but I think the best path, stay to the outside, outpoint this girl.
And just land kicks.
Now, J.J. Aldrich is, I know she got finished by Barber, but for the most part, it's like she's tailor-made for decisions. Striking, 15 minutes, decision. She trains with girls like Raquel Pennington, Tisha Torres, Rose Namajunas. She knows what she's doing. This is likely going 15. Sabina Mazo, meanwhile, she's a King's MMA girl, Rafael Cordero. That's why she's got such a crisp, almost like a throwback to a shoot-to-box Muay Thai style. Just, you know, aggressive. And she can handle it, too, because she's not shop-worn like all them. But she's young. Like, she's still there to make mistakes. Close fight. I'm going Sabina Mazo. But, yeah, honestly, I'm not going to tell you pass again because I'm sure people are starting to get frustrated with that. But is that really a fight that you look at and you're just like, I got a sick lean on this. We're going to make some money. Unless you thought, I know Mazo. She's the real deal. And you know what? I watched her whole LFA run. I know people that are friends with her. Apparently, she's the real deal. I'm buying into it a little bit. But like J.J. Aldrich is the perfect type of opponent to just like exploit small little weaknesses. Marina Moroz, right? Marina Moroz versus Sabina Mazo 2 fights ago. It's Sabina Mazo's UFC debut. Marina Moroz has not looked good in years and looked... Whoa, did she ever look good against Mazo? Off what? Technical boxing. That's all she needed. Mazo's tall, doesn't move her head particularly well, and is very hittable. J.J. Aldrich has the same thing. The difference there is Moroz just came out. She came out with it. And like JJ's just hasn't shown that propensity in a while. So that's the pick. Running down quickly, I should say. And then you want to get to DK, or do you want to do DK and then do the rundown?
You can do the rundown.
Okay, we're going to go Conor McGregor, Holly Holm, Maurice Greene, Claudia Gadelha, Carlos Diego Ferreira, Maycee Barber, Yusuff, Nasrat Haqparast, cancel. That's that Grant Dawson Skelly fight. We're going to go Alexa Camur, Askarov. I'm going to take Brian Kelleher only because I want
Because
one
this
dog.
is a winnable
I want
fight.
one dog, and it is a winnable fight. Plus 120. Honestly, this that could be a 50-50. He's plus 120. He's got pass for sure. That'll be my one dog, and then I'm going to cap off with... Actually, Mazo's technically speaking the dog right now. It's just you're not getting plus money on it.
No.
Minus 105 versus minus 115 for J.J. Aldrich. Going down to DraftKings. Conor McGregor, again, he's going to be very, very, very heavily owned. His upside is that knockout in the first 2 rounds, but you're not going to get no takedowns, no ground transitions. He just goes out there and hits him with a Celtic cross straight left and knocks him out. $9,400 is like still pretty high enough. So yeah, it's worth a play.
Yeah, if he gets a Celtic cross right down the pipe, knocks him out, gets a knockdown, plus 90 points, he can get 100, but he doesn't necessarily end up on an optimal lineup.
It doesn't necessarily.
And he's going to be like 50% owned.
Yeah, and he's going to be very high ownership. So do I recommend him play on Conor McGregor? I mean, yeah, I see him winning. I see him scoring points, but You got to be wary on that. High ownership, and he has a high price tag. Donald Cerrone, flip side to that, dude, value all day. $6,800. If this guy's going to win, he's going to score you a lot of points. If you get a 3rd round submission, 4th round submission, 5th round submission, whatever, and anything mixed in the mix, even if he gets his ass kicked, but was able to survive 2-3 rounds, got a couple takedowns, plus some significant strikes, $6,800 is a really low price tag. You won't win a GPP like that. But as far as the cash game goes, Holm, 8,900. What? Yeah, right. You'd have to kick Ronda in the head to score anywhere near 8,900. Raquel Pennington, $7,300. Like, honestly, she just brawls to the clinches to get you up against the cage, and that's it.
Oh,
Takedown, sloppy,
you stay the fuck away from Holm versus Raquel Pennington.
That's a hard pass. Maurice Greene at 8,400. It's the recency bias there is that like, oh shit, the last 2 guys that fought Alexei Oleinik knocked him out in the 1st round. Maurice Greene, kickboxer, way younger than him, could knock him out too. That's a hard pass. Alexei Oleinik is $7,800. More merit to that. All he's got to do is get this guy down once, submits him. Also, there's no denying that Maurice Greene can't take a great punch. He does get wobbled in a lot of his punches. That last fight with Pavlich is a power wrestler as well, from Russia. He just clips him with the right hand, and it's weird almost. Herb just stops the fight premature because he doesn't even know what Greene's doing. Like, Greene's just flopping over in there. Worrisome. Again, if Oleinik is like 2 years younger, this is the play. But 42 years old, a lot of questions there. But he is the play, $7,800. I see some merit there too, especially if you're going for it, right? Claudia Gadelha, $8,300. If she goes and just runs right through Grasso, the issue there is that Grasso's hard enough to submit, so maybe she doesn't get the submission, and she's not going to get 6 takedowns. If she gets 1 takedown, Grasso's not getting up. So she could really just go into cruise control, win the first 2 rounds, take the 3rd off, not score you a ton there. So I would look to pass on that. Grasso, even if Grasso keeps it standing and just boxes her up, no takedowns, no ground transitions, no knockdowns, none of that. $7,800, still not a great price tag. So I would pass on both of them. That women's fight, both women's fight, off. Diego Ferreira, $9,000. He could submit Pettis. He could somehow put away Pettis. I'm not feeling it. I think it's little too rich. You could go for it, a little too rich. Anthony Pettis is $7,200. I'm not a Pettis guy. I think I've made that very clear. But $7,200, like, goddamn. He's a punt. He's the definition of a punt. High reward punt for sure. Macy Barber, $9,500. Oh, man.
I'm paying up for her instead of Conor McGregor. I'll find the extra $100.
She's $100 more than Conor McGregor, and she is just so much safer.
She averages like 105.5 points. She could potentially get takedowns. I think she's just going to avoid the grappling altogether against Roxanne, who is super experienced, obviously. But yeah, I'm finding the extra $1 just to pay up for. Or $100 on DraftKings just to pay up for Macy rather than Conor.
Yeah, Roxanne would be considered a punt, but no, not in my world. That's definitely going to pass off that altogether. Sodiq Yusuff, $8,500 versus Fili. Listen, I like Yusuff. I like Fili. Both guys have some merit. Yusuff at $8,500, not going to finish Fili, I don't think. Fili been knocked out the one time by Yair Rodriguez. If you remember, it was an eye poke set up by a head kick. Doesn't matter. It's going to be hard to put him away. I don't know that Yusuff does that. $8,500 pass. Fili, $77, way more appealing. However, he would just need a lot of takedowns. That decision victory, like he's gonna need decent enough to get up to 77.
I'm gonna play him.
I'm hitting a pass on that too.
Nazrat, Fili, and hope that he wrestles.
Nazrat at 9,300. I'm interested enough on that only because he is one of the high end plays, but he's gonna be. I think he should be less owned than Macy Barber and Conor McGregor, and I think he's got high upside.
Likely will be. Yep.
Drew Dober, $6,900. I mean, I can't completely write him off, but just I'm so sold on Nazrat. I'm not thinking about Dober. That fight's off. Camur versus Justin Ledet. Camur, $8,800 despite being a -120. It's just like, man, is that a mistake?
He's not going to be owned.
Yeah, not going to be owned. And could he knock out Justin Ledet? Well, Ledet got knocked out 15 seconds last fight, but he's been shown to have an okay chin, and that was a spinning back fist at 15 seconds in. Like,
and that's what Johnny Walker does to people.
Yeah, it's very hard to
Ledet
be like,
on the other side
happen.
at 7,400, it's just like the guy just likes to jab. That doesn't get scored.
No.
So
even if he wins all 3 rounds very clearly, 20 significant strikes per round and a decision victory,
he could end with like 50 points with a decision win. Like,
we're
I
not
don't want any part of
looking
Justin
for that.
Ledet.
Askarov is high price at $8,700 compared to being only just -135 on the price line. If he was like 85, 84 all day, I like this guy because I think it's going to be a high scoring affair, and I think he's going to snatch up the neck. Tim Elliott for $7,500. It's like an automatic roster. This guy's got so much upside, but if he gets caught, he's not going to score anything. So my personal move is Askarov. I think this is the fight you have a second and third look at. You're going to want definite exposure on either side of this one somehow. Odi Osbourne versus Kelleher. If Kelleher's got one foot out the door and he's not fully in it, Odi Osbourne could finish him. I don't see him finishing, though. I see Kelleher either coming out here and giving a one last hurrah and submitting Odi Osbourne, or the fight just being a complete pass from either side. So maybe a little bit of Kelleher, nothing on Osbourne. And then Aldrich versus Mazo, I have to hit a hard pass on both sides of that. Just don't see it being high enough scoring to
Mazo or bust.
Yeah,
You get
it's
a
Mazo or
looping
bust.
head kick.
She's got nasty head kicks.
Or bust.
And Aldrich is the type of person, if you hit her with the kick, it doesn't have to knock her out. It just has to hurt her. And then she'll
crumble.
get thinking about it. And then the next shot's not even that heavy, but she's already thinking about it. And it causes her to fall and whatever. So, yeah. Anyways, good luck. Hope everybody had a good New Year. And let's get back in the thick of things. Get rolling.
Back into the thick of things. And no way to do it like a Conor McGregor card to kind of get the year rolling here. It was a nice long break. I think everyone's kind of refreshed and looking forward to a profitable 2020.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any final thoughts?
No, that's it. So good luck to everybody, and let's make some money to start off the year.
That is Cody Saftic, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming in and doing it. We'll have the Zach Attack back next week, switching, doing all this stuff. He's a student. He's got things to do. So wasn't able to make it for this episode, but Zach will be back behind the sticks moving forward. For Cody, I am Paul saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience! Experience!